Thomas Armstead here, going back to the Yogi Berra series and Yogiisms. The first one was on when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Why did he say that? Because whether you went right or left, it led to his house. Another great Yogiism, and apparently, according to his family, he has hundreds. Rest in peace, Yogi Berra, great Yankee, great philosopher in many ways. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, and the origin of that comes from vaudeville, where they would have, show after show after show, act after act, but you knew the show was over when they had a big, let's say, full-figured woman came out and started singing, and then you knew it was over, hence the term, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And he used it in baseball to say, you can always come back. You can always come from being down. If you're down, no matter how low you are, it's only one way to go, and that's up, right? And I remember during the crash, we felt it on Wall Street. I was at Deutsche Bank the third week of March 2007 when the bubble really burst on Wall Street. The world didn't know about it until the following year, September, October, November of 2008, with Lehman, Bear going out of business, Merrill being bought, stocks that were over $100 going down to $1, 09, 10, then things started to get a little better, and 11 and 12, things started to rebound. It's one of those things where when you're so down, I remember times like once a year, like I would cry. I would sit down on a chair and I literally started to cry, and it got to the point where once a year I would cry and I would force the tears out. Even though I could have stopped crying, I would keep crying. I would force the tears out. And then when I was done, I said, I'm done. No more crying. I need to use my brain. How am I going to get out of this situation? Thoughts of things, plan, work, call up people. A friend of mine one time, he said, Tommy, just go to the street. Just stand on the street. You're going to bump into people. Lord knows in New York City, I bump into people all the time. And I remember one time when I was in college and I was in the Village and I didn't have money to get on the train. I said, you know what? I'm just going to stand here on Broadway and 8th Street and hopefully I'll bump into somebody. And I bumped into somebody. I was like, hey, do you have $3 so I could get on the train and buy a Snickers? It literally works, People are a resource, money is a resource, time is a resource. You have more resources than you know, so when times are bad, cry at every single dropout, like the video on Life is a Sponge. When it's full, you have to, wring that sponge dry, living life, and when it's dry, you have to be a sponge and just take it all in. When you're down, that's when it counts the most, and just think about all that you have and you'll be pleasantly surprised. And you call people up. I've gone back to jobs. I've worked for one guy 6 times, a couple of people 3 times, one person at least twice, because when you're a producer, go eat your pride and go back to where you were before. It's taking a step back so you can take 2 steps forward. And, like Sun Tzu says, when you're laying plans, be deep in the ground. When you're executing plans, be high in the sky so everyone can see. But when you're deep down, when you're low, that's the time to plan. That's the time to eat oatmeal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get hungry. Like in the military, when they have boot camp for Marines, break them down and then build them back up. Break yourself down. You're already down. There's nothing you can do but build yourself up. We'd love to get your comments on that. Once again, Thomas Armstead, Thomas Armstead's Tribe. Go get 'em.